Hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of The Ambition Code. I am so incredibly excited that you are here. The show is a true passion project for me. It is something that I wanted to create for such a long time, even before I completely understood what form it would take. And I wanted this first episode to be just me because before I introduce you to all of the extraordinary people who's going to be joining me, I want to tell you why the show exists in the first place. What is it really about and who is it for? And what do I hope these conversations can help you with in your life? At first, the idea began with career. How do you go from having a dream, an instinct, a talent, or an idea to creating an actual life around it? How do you convince people to take a chance on you? And how do you recognize the opportunity that could change everything when it may not look particularly important to anybody else? But how do you know when it's time to stop thinking about that open door and actually run through it? A few years ago, a friend of mine asked me to write an essay to my younger self from a perspective of a female producer to a largely female younger audience to inspire them to move forward in their life. And that piece turned into one of my favorite things I have ever written because it made me go back and really look at my own origin story. I went back to my early instincts, the questions I asked, the opportunities that could have easily passed me by, and the beautiful things that happened without me even expecting them to. For me, I felt like doors were always cracked open this much, and I would just open them up and run right through. And I took every opportunity that was pointing me in the right direction, even if I didn't know exactly what that was. We tell people to dream big all the time and follow your passion, believe in yourself, go after the life that you want. Okay, great. Let's do that. But how, right? How do you get from seeing it to being it? And how do you begin creating a career and a life that actually feels like yours, not simply chasing someone else's version of what they feel like success might be? That's a huge part of what I want to talk about with the show, honest conversations about what it actually takes. But as I continue to develop the Ambition Code, I realized something really, really important. Career and life are not two completely separate tracks. The qualities that help us build a meaningful career are often the same qualities that help us move through the rest of our lives, because life has a way of handing us moments that we didn't prepare for. Sometimes they are enormous opportunities, and sometimes they are enormous challenges. A career changes, an industry changes, a relationship changes, a family changes. Something we worked on very hard and built for sometimes a very long time no longer looks the way that we thought it would, and sometimes it changes in an instant, and we still have to find our way through it and move forward. These moments require strength, and they require ambition also, but ambition as a belief that no matter how hard this moment is, this thing, this situation, this huge change, there's still much more life ahead of us, and that your plan may change without erasing everything that has come before it. And I want to be very intentional about that. Everything comes with you from this moment forward. Every hard thing you've already made it through, every version of yourself you had to become to reach this moment, it all still exists. How can it serve you in the next chapter, even if you have no idea what's going to happen? A few years ago, I was asking myself all of these exact same questions. I was moving through an enormous change in my personal life while my entire industry was at a standstill. The company I had helped build for 20 years was closing along with the change in my personal life. The business I had known for decades was striking. The way content was being made, bought, distributed, and consumed was really figuring itself out, and it affected everything. The path I thought I understood to be my life had entirely changed. And at the same time, my personal life was changing so profoundly that I could barely process what was happening in the next moment, let alone to see what came next. I remember saying to my mom, I don't know what to do. This is so much bigger than me. And my mom said, when you made those barrettes when you were little, you were such a busy little bee. And I thought, I was such a busy little bee. I need to remember who I was and who I'd always been. And now those barrettes have a whole story. So I'm going to get into it for a minute. It was the 80s, and I loved everything about 80s fashion. The Jordache jeans, I had a bunch, Esprit, the Bastard clogs, the hair, all of it. Like, that was my vibe. And I discovered this very cute way to take silver barrettes and weave these two colors of ribbons through them and like twist them over and then have a really long ribbon at the end that was as long as your length of your hair. It was really stylish. Everyone was wearing them. And I actually loved making them. My mom drove me around to salons to see whether they would sell them for me. And to my surprise, they said yes, just to make some more. So I kept making them. Then my mom helped me find a wholesale barrette place so I could turn this little idea into an actual little business. And mind you, I was like around 8 at the time. Ultimately, I made around $100, which to me was a fortune at the time. And I bought myself a blue Huffy bike. It was blue everything, blue blue handlebars, blue frame, blue wheels. I just love that bike more than anything on planet Earth. And I was so proud of it because I had earned it from all of my barrettes. My parents celebrated the fact I had created this tiny little business, and then life moved on and I had not thought about those barrettes in years until my mom brought them up. So when my mom called me a busy little bee, she reminded me of something fundamental about myself that I had temporarily forgotten. I know how to create. I know how to work. I know how to take an idea and figure out what to do next with it. That part of me has not disappeared simply because the circumstances around me are changing. So I started looking at who I was and what I already knew, and little things like I knew that I loved yoga and I knew that I loved to design. I already knew storytelling, branding, producing, and content. And from those pieces, I created a line of yoga mats because it would make me happy. And I created them for Love and Daydreams. I learned and taught myself Canva and systems I'd never needed to know before now. So I designed the mats and I built the stores. And then I knew I had to create content because I needed to market the mats. So first, I filmed yoga videos without properly lighting myself because I didn't want anyone to see me on camera. I just wanted there to be like a yoga body on the mat showing that someone was using this mat. But then I realized that the videos where people could actually see more of me sold more. So I just decided, okay, what do I have to lose? And I went for it. That did not erase the career I had already built to now. I used it. I did not erase all the change in my life that was happening either, but doing this really muted it out and made it easier for me to get through. So I was taking everything that I knew and applying it to a new direction, which is exactly what you can do too. So for me, that path eventually led me to joining the Media Machine podcast earlier this year with Johanna Salazar, which was such a great experience, which I EP'd and co-hosted using my producing skills again, and discovered how much I loved having long form conversations with fascinating people, learning about them, sharing that information, and also the ability to produce and distribute from my laptop was next level awesome. And that led me here to my own podcast. Nothing that came before disappeared. And in fact, it really all led to this moment. And that is what I mean when I say ambition moves through every part of our lives. It's not always a straight climb upward. It's deciding that the life you have outgrown no longer has to define the life ahead of you. And sometimes ambition is incredibly public, as we know. And sometimes it is also the most private decision you'll ever make. To take care of yourself, to choose peace, to move away from something that no longer serves you, to become a different kind of parent, partner, leader, friend, or human being altogether. To believe that a difficult chapter does not get to determine your entire story. And that is why this show is as much about life as it is about being human, as it is about your career. Because who we are affects what we build. What we build affects who we become. And the things that we experience outside of work shape how we lead, how we create, how we take risks, and what we eventually decide matters in our lives. And the lessons we learn in our careers also, how to solve problems, how to trust your instincts, how to build relationships and recover from failure and keep moving. These often become the exact same tools we need when life takes an unexpected turn. The Ambition Code is a premium conversation series about the defining moments that shape who we become. The heart of the show is extraordinary people lighting the way and empowering those just beginning, but also for those moving through a pivot, taking a risk, entering a new chapter, or trying to find their way through something they never expected. Young people entering the workforce are incredibly important to me. It's really weird out there right now anyway, but now when you're at the beginning, there is so much opportunity in front of you and so much that you haven't yet experienced. But I also want people decades into their careers to know that it's never too late to make a change, open a new chapter, or build something entirely new. There are always new ways to use what you know and apply them as you move forward. That is why the show is a give back concept for me. My goal with the Ambition Code is to give listeners more than inspiration. I want to give them perspective and permission with a little humor and humanity and practical wisdom along the way. Maybe one person's story helps you recognize an opportunity in your own life. Maybe the way they navigated a hard chapter helps you understand that you can also move through yours. And maybe the way they built a career gives you the confidence to begin building your own. We'll cover the decisions that make perfect sense as they're all happening and the ones that we only understand years later when we look back and realize, oh yeah, that was part of the story too, because life is not a straight line. And honestly, if it were, we would never get to see all of its beautiful colors. My hope for this podcast is purely to help your life better, to help you see the possibilities and recognize the opportunities, and to give you access to these extraordinary people and perspectives you might not have otherwise. It's also to give you the knowledge and clarity and strength to move forward because your life is waiting for you. And the Ambition Code is a guide to running through those open doors. I'm so grateful that you are here. here. I'm so grateful that you are listening, and I'm incredibly excited to take this journey with you. So welcome to the Ambition Code. Let's go. The Ambition Code is created and hosted by me, Julie Kellman Reading. It's produced by Love Daydreams with music by Moby Gratis. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.